T minus 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we just witnessed the first rocket ship get blasted back into space, and it could not be more on point because tonight we are talking about Project Hail Mary, and oh my god, it was one of the movies of this decade. I want to say props to Ryan Gosling, just right out of the way. He fucking killed it, an amazing performance, but I cannot wait to get into this. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Both just
Um,
waiting for each other to start.
yep. You first, I first. I'm feeling great. Yeah. Now you wait. Now you wait. Excited to talk about the movie. Because there were some good things about it. There were some things that maybe I didn't like it as much. Maybe I'm more critical than I thought I was when it came to movies. Yeah, but all to say that the Marlins are the best team of the Alliance. So fuck you and the Royals.
You guys lost to the White Sox, bro.
5-1.
Holy shit, that's pretty impressive.
I know.
The 9-4 loss to the White Sox.
You know who else was
Yeah,
5-1? The universe in this movie, Project Hail Mary. The one guy that survived
Facts.
was Ryland Grace, out of the 6 astronauts sent up into space.
I don't know why. That is something that we don't necessarily get an answer to. But why is he the only one who could survive the coma phase?
I don't
Which
mind
is
that we don't get an answer. It's pretty implied that like the other two passed away quite a while ago because their bodies already like lost color, they're decomposing, like their sleep sac must have just been depressurized and the life support failed or something like that, and his is the one that stuck around. That's the implication there.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of discourse about the movie actually, as far as its like religious subtext as well. Like I think that there is quite a bit of religious subtext in it,
No, it's only called Project Hail Mary.
and the main character's name is Grace. Yeah, but there's been a lot of like a lot of talk of like Christian people and this Christian community that has not embraced this movie as like a religious or a Christian work, which is interesting. I don't really care. I'm not religious, as you both know, and as you may know as a viewer if you've watched for any extended period of time. But I don't know. I thought there was definitely subtext there. Like it is a Hail Mary. He is grace. Like it's not even subtle about it necessarily. But that doesn't destroy my enjoyment of the film because it is a science fiction movie. It is a space exploration movie, and these are some of my favorite genres of all time.
I just want to say this. If you are one of those parents out there who doesn't let their children watch movies with vampires, witches, wizardry, magic, anything like that, or fantasy like Lord of the Rings, you are a loser. You are keeping your kid from enjoying a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Don't let your religion ruin the world, because if I didn't get to see Sinners because I was a fucking Catholic, that'd be the dumbest thing ever. I saw that movie 3 times in theaters. I'm gonna see Project Hail Mary again because it's that fucking good. We're over halfway through this decade, and I'm just now realizing that. And this is the third best movie on the decade, and I am pretty confident in saying that. Like, I don't put many movies above this recently, anyways.
Do you put it above Interstellar?
Recency bias is not allowing me to answer this.
Not
Not
really.
allowed. to
Because I think it's Broofy, listen,
Wow.
I'm saying it's not allowing me to answer this because the recency bias is making me think that it's a very, very close call, and I honestly can't I can't say that I like Interstellar more than Project Hail Mary right now. Give me 6 months, let me watch Project Hail Mary again. I'm prone to change. Both movies were life-changing. Not necessarily life-changing, but both movies you had an experience.
If you had to say it right now, gun to your head.
I'm probably choosing to watch Project Hail Mary again because I want to get more information out of that movie.
I think Vitor and I both prefer Interstellar. This
prefer
movie for
Interstellar.
me, I absolutely adore Project Hail Mary. On my first viewing though, it was a
Yes.
4.5 instead of a 5, and that's, again, we're talking like epic, awesome, fucking fantastic movie to like. This is an incredible experience. Everyone should watch this. As like, I did bump it up to a 5 on rewatch though, because some of my nitpicks, some of my issues with the film kind of went away, which is odd because I felt like some of the tension would not be there anymore. The stakes would not be there anymore after knowing how the result will be. But also that's the case for people who've read the book in the past too. I have not read the book. This movie actually made me interested in reading the book at some point, even though I don't know how to read. That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah.
But so like but the stakes like didn't necessarily falter on second viewing, which I found pretty fascinating, and that combined with the erasure of some of my issues on rewatch bumped it up to a 5. It's probably a weak 5 for me, but it's still a 5 star. I mean, there's only so many
For
movies that
fuck's
can
sake, yeah.
be called a 5 star for me. So
I guess the more interesting discussion for you is it above Sinners?
no, definitely not.
Wow.
Sinners was a strong five
Definitely
star.
not. I think both are very strong 5 stars.
This is where I think you guys are overrating Sinners, because this is definitely better than Sinners.
Wow.
Well, I said it's better than Sinners, so that makes no sense for you to say that about me.
So Vitor, if you could
can't
give
have it.
either of these a star rating, what would you give them?
I would give Project Hail Mary a 4.5, and I would give Sinners a 3.5.
Okay. That is a
Good
pretty
movie, though.
significant difference.
I think I think 3.5 is still good.
3.5 is good. 3.5 is very
Okay,
good.
cool.
Yeah, 3.5 is not a bad rating. 3.5 is like what we gave The Amateur last year. It's not a bad movie.
That's what you
Um,
gave The Amateur last year.
Okay, fine.
That's what
drop
you
for you.
gave.
Drop for you.
Yeah, that movie's probably I probably dropped it to a 3, and it might even be teetering on 2.5. The more I think about it.
Amateur or drop?
Amateur.
Okay, I was gonna say I thought you liked drop.
I did like drop, although I did drop that rating half star as well when I did my cleanup for the year. But I won't drop a movie twice unless I rewatch it again.
I will say the drop rewatch is probably not as good because the jokes are probably not as funny. But Matt the waiter is just such a peak character.
Yeah, I mean, go check out our side characters draft. Maybe he won a round. You have to watch and see. But so we all walked away with positive rating. 2 of us give it 5 stars. 1 of us 4.5. Like, what are some of like the biggest moments? What are some of our favorite elements of the film? What really worked? And let's see if we can all like agree on some of these big elements of the movie.
Controversial opinion, almost everything works. I don't have many issues with this movie, clearly. But what definitely works for it is the tone on Earth. The tone on Earth is so masterfully done. The visuals are always on the darker side. It's never seen as something that is like the presence of the what's it called? The effort. What the fuck? The matter. The eats the sun.
Astrophage.
Astrophage. The presence of the astrophage is on Earth, even without it being there. And you can see that in how the film is shot and how it's like very dark and all throughout. The tension is constantly there on Earth. Obviously, you know that he's in space, so you know that he's going to get sent there eventually. But the way that it's done is really well done. It's very, very realistic to how you would expect that situation to happen. Now, I will say the whole him waking up and being able to teach himself how to fly the plane, I don't know how realistic it would be for a guy to be able to just teach himself how to fly a plane backwards. I do have kind of an issue with that.
He's also a high school teacher.
What?
Middle school teacher, actually.
So, even worse.
No, but
He's also a
he's a
published
doctor. Yeah.
scientist who's a doctor. You
He's a
can't just
doctor.
be like he's a middle school teacher.
Who
I
pilots a rocket
I
ship.
get that nitpick. I do think
My mom was a nurse practitioner and she's a drug addict failure now, so that doesn't really add up.
God.
Look what you've done, Vitor. Look what you've done. I hear you with the nitpick, and I've seen a lot of people like criticize the passage of time in this movie and it not being very evident. Because it's hard to translate visually the passing of time without like explicitly showing it. And they do show it at one point where he has to go. Spoiler warning. Let's just get it out of the way now. Spoilers, heavy spoilers for Project Hail Mary. We all highly recommend you go see it. So go see it and then come back if you want to hear us talk about it some more. Or if you don't care about spoilers, keep going. Because this is the best show you've never heard of. But when he goes back to save Rocky because of the radiation leak, it shows a calendar and him like moving closer and closer and closer to where Rocky's ship is. And so they do explicitly show the passage of time there, and maybe just a couple of sprinklings of a calendar of him marking the days or something like that to simulate or emulate the passage of time better, maybe would have landed some of those moments better. Because you're right, he does kind of abruptly do it, but I guess in my head canon, he's spending like days preparing this, or weeks even,
Right.
especially when they're setting up for the fishing sequence.
Yes, and there is plenty of preparation time. Like I said, it's a space movie with not realistic technology, so I can't say that it would be unrealistic for him to be able to teach himself on his own how to fly that thing. It's just I don't like in real life, there's no way that a person who is a scientist is going to know how to pilot a spacecraft or know how to teach himself to pilot a spacecraft. But obviously, it's a different universe. The technology is a lot more advanced. Um, Obviously, it's a lot more capable of autopilot as well. I mean,
Mhm.
the whole system functions whenever he just sits in the seat. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of spacecraft technology that's just not realistic, which is fine because it fits that universe. Um, but what's amazing in this movie, and we haven't mentioned him yet, is how well executed Rocky is.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how close it is to the book or the source material and how it was adapted or whatnot, but I can't imagine it was an easy adaptation to make. And the way that they did it has it beautifully done. The scene where he has to find his voice is one of the best comedic relief scenes in the movie. Um, Rocky's voice is so deadpan. It is perfect in both the comedic relief aspect, but also he has emotion in the voice, obviously because it's a voice actor, but the character itself just has so much charisma and so much energy to himself that you don't feel like you're just watching a rock. You feel like you're actually engaging in someone who's a very involved character, and that's what it's supposed to be. But visually, it is just a rock. And so the way that they're able to personify that object and make it have such personality and charisma and the pain that it feels whenever it's saving our protagonist of the movie, Grace, it genuinely you feel that shit because of the way that it is portrayed and the sounds that it makes. Like it's in its own native tongue, but you still feel those painful noises.
You're right about how well they executed this, but it's actually not a very easy thing to execute either. Like the voice sequence plays off as really funny, and it is really funny in the film, but it's just as easily as they, or effortlessly I should say, as they were able to find the right voice that matched the tone, that matched the character and everything like that. They could have just as easily failed in that category, and if they fail in that category, that I feel like that's such a crucial element of the film that, like,
Hmm.
the rest of the movie's kind of ruined if you don't nail the voice of Rocky or the mannerisms of Rocky or how Rocky moves and interacts within his own environment. Because again, he's like in a ball the whole movie because he will melt
And his
essentially and
movement is so
die.
fluid.
Yeah. Well, it was practically done as well. Most of it, at least, was practically done, which is always love to see that.
Yeah, the passion in this movie was very evident all throughout, and it's hard to say because the two movies I have above it on the decade are Dune and Dune Part Two. It's no debate; those two movies are above it. But for all the movies that I'm putting beneath it, I don't necessarily want to say that it's recency bias or what, but this movie I felt so much whenever I was watching this because I really cared for the characters. Like they have so many flaws within themselves that makes them so much more like it's so much easier to identify or like feel or put yourself in his shoes because he is a very flawed individual.
Yeah. They make a
And
point throughout the
the
whole film, sorry to interrupt, but he's a coward. They show us that, like, the world is calling upon him to be the guy to make his decision, to make this ultimate sacrifice for humanity, and he literally just cannot do it. And I find that so relatable, as watching that unfold. And it's similar to some of the talks that we've had on the show about existentialism or about, actions having consequences and whatnot. But like, if you're in that seat as well as just a normal person as you are, would you be able to make that sacrifice? I don't think I could,
you couldn't put me on a spaceship regardless of the
Yeah,
situation.
it's really hard to, I guess, personify like an entire globe of people when you yourself only knows a handful. You know what I mean? So it's one of
Hmm.
those things where you feel it's so relatable as a character decision and as a personality trait in that moment to be like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm here against my will. I've basically been kidnapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But here I am.
And I try to get or mention that whenever I was talking about the tone on Earth, but when I was saying getting him into space was so well executed, like we knew that he was going to get into space, but the way that happens is the most realistic way that it could have happened. Like I think that he should have probably had that concern that, oh fuck, I'm probably the backup. Like I think that we probably should have, like he's a smart enough guy, he might have been able to realize it.
He just didn't think they would go to that length. He was genuinely surprised. in that scene.
And that is fair. He did just experience something traumatic 12 hours prior, so it does make sense. I just would have liked to see that little internal panic of they're not going to send me into space, are they? But that might have been a little too cliche.
I wonder how the book handled it. Again, don't know. I'm not a resident book
Mhm.
knower. For a movie that really does not have an extensive cast, you have Ryan Gosling, of course, as the lead character, but on Earth you have Lionel Boyce from The Bear, who's really fun to see in this movie, and his name's Carl in the movie, and he and Grace have a really fun rapport, especially when they're working on trying to get the astrophage to breed and everything, and they have a fun day at Home Depot and everything. Like that was really fun to
Yeah.
watch, and it's a really nice exchange.
The
And
Skittles was really funny.
yeah, and it resembles this whole like maximalist crowd pleaser type of filmmaking that I feel like it's given such a bad rap, especially on film Twitter nowadays, of like, no, you shouldn't make a movie for anyone. If you make a movie for everyone, you're making a movie for no one. And while I agree to a certain extent with that, like you don't want every movie to be safe, I don't necessarily think that this is a safe film. It's just there's something for most people to really pull something out of and really enjoy and resonate with. And like you said, a lot of people, including yourself, resonate a lot with Rocky, who's not even a human.
I cried for Rocky.
I cried 3 separate times during this movie, and then I ironically said it's not just a pebble, it's a rock. But as much as I like to say that joking line, I cried 3 separate times during this movie for Rocky and Grace. Grace got 1 time, Rocky got 2.
I have one big complaint about this movie, and it's probably why it didn't drive me to the emotions that it could have.
The centrifuge being unbalanced.
No,
Did you guys
No.
notice that when he's setting up the samples of the astrophage that they just collected with the Talmiba, and he puts it in the centrifuge? He puts them right next to each other, and then
Yeah,
he spins.
yeah,
There's nothing on the other
yeah.
side to counterbalance it.
that is true.
That-
That is true.
That was like one
And-
big thing. I'm like, how did you overlook that as a science fiction movie? How did you overlook that?
That's actually a really good catch because I did research in genetics and I worked with centrifuges a lot, and I was so focused in the moment I didn't even notice that. But no, totally, you can never do that. What I was about to say, in regards to the movie, and it was probably my biggest disappointment, I guess, is that they made the deal regarding the fuel before Rocky went through the trouble that he did. I knew Rocky wouldn't die simply because he had to deliver the fucking fuel or the movie was just over. They should have made that deal after Rocky recovered.
That's not necessarily true. No, if Rocky dies, they both die, and then the Earth is still saved because they still have the samples.
Yeah, because he sends the probes out.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that when Rocky was dying. When Rocky was dying,
You absolutely did. You knew going into the ship that the mission was for him to die and still send the stuff back to Earth. That is 100% told to you before he gets on the ship.
fair. But I knew that regardless, Rocky had to come back and deliver the fuel.
No, you didn't. They both could have died and they could have sent that stuff back.
So how come I predicted it?
Well, because
You didn't know, though.
As a crowd
You are-
pleasing,
oh my fucking God.
movie, it is the predictable way to go, and I understand that.
Simply put, I would have liked it more if the deal came after. If the deal came after, I would have been way more worried about the situation.
I think Vitor is not alone in that. There are a lot of people that don't feel the stakes or urgency the same way that some of us do, and that
They miss details then. That's their problem.
I don't necessarily think that's true, because I do understand if we're going into this knowing that it's a crowd pleasing film that is designed to make people feel good, even if it makes you cry, it's still a feel good film in general, then the predictable outcome is that they're both going to survive in some way. And so the kind of fake out thing doesn't quite work for everyone.
See, but this is why you can't watch movie trailers. I went in knowing nothing, and that's why I got so much out of the movie.
That's fair. Did you know that it was a crowd pleasing film going into it either?
No, I didn't. And that's why I was able to get so much out of it.
I think there's a very reasonable critique in a lot of film trailers. As a matter of fact, that was one of the big criticisms of the trailer itself. It spoils Rocky, and Rocky happens an hour into the movie and happens quite a bit into the book as well. And people that have read the book were like, dude, do not watch the trailer because it spoils something. It's something very big about the movie. Of course, that was too late. I'd already seen the trailer.
I didn't watch the trailer, and I had a very good reaction to Rocky being introduced.
Nice.
So I can definitely feel
Yeah.
like I can definitely imagine that.
I didn't have that because
Yeah.
I watched the trailer. Then people were like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Well, too late. Don't have a
See,
neuralizer
this is
on
why
me.
I don't do trail. I am hard pressed on do not watch trailers for movies that you want to see, because you already know you want to see it. You don't need the sale.
I only watch trailers for things I already know what to expect going in. If I don't know anything about it, the only something that teases me that I want to watch about it, I generally don't watch trailers as well.
I have to watch Jurassic trailers now just because I need to know how bad the expectations need to be.
I guess, to not to wrap up because I feel like we have more to talk about, but I just want to go like
Mhm.
category by category here, and you guys just quickly give me your answer on the things that you enjoyed the most. So, like, what favorite moment or favorite scene in the film?
Favorite line in the movie is 100%. I'll watch you sleep, but you gotta wake up. That
Yeah,
that
those
that
were the
scene is
that was the scene that
100% the
broke me.
most emotionally
Yeah, that was the scene that broke me as well.
overwhelmed
Yeah,
that I was.
Yeah,
yeah.
and to add on to that, where Rocky had a last message on the computer, it's not a spoken line, but it says "Grace Rocky save stars." That also adds to that emotional
Save her, save,
weight.
Save Earth, save Aaron.
save
Yeah.
Erid. Yeah, save her,
Yeah.
save Erid.
For me, there are two moments that are very high up there. Of course, one is the fishing sequence. That
Yeah.
whole sequence where he has to get out of the ship. They're in the atmosphere of Adrian, which is what they call the planet because it's Rocky's wife, and that's a really funny bit as well throughout the film too. But that whole fishing sequence, super intense. Like, and then again, like Hail Mary Christian, ideals and everything like that. Like, this is a very improbable outcome to occur where they're successful because it's just like something really bad happens, but they still manage to pull through. But I think that is a super riveting moment. And of course, right after that, when they're in the ship trying to escape, that whole sequence on the edge of my seat, because I don't know the story, right? I'm on the edge of my seat. I feel like as someone going in, I was never particularly scared of either of their lives, like of both of them, I should say. I wasn't afraid of losing both of them in that moment, but I felt like one of them could legitimately go, whether that is Grace right there where he gets literally his face fucking smushed against the computer screen,
Right.
or Rocky after he basically tries to sacrifice himself to save Grace as well. Like, one of those moments, one of those guys could go, realistically. So that was really good. And then the scene before that, when he goes out there to collect the Talmiba in space, and you get into the infrared light sequence where it's all red and sparkly and shiny, and then he's like, Rocky's like, "What is Grace doing?" And he's like, "I'm having a moment." And that's probably my favorite line in the whole film. And just the spectacle, the scope of it, the beauty of the shot, and of the composition. I saw it in IMAX too, which is completely jaw dropping there. So those are a tie for my favorite moment.
I think that's fair.
Favorite ending, because there are about 3 or 4 of them. which one hits you the best as far as the endings go?
There are different endings.
You didn't notice? The movie ends a couple of times.
I didn't really feel it, honestly.
Really? I didn't feel it the second time. I did feel it the first time though. So there's the ending where he sends the probes to Earth and then he goes to get Rocky. The movie could have ended there. I would have been satisfied. Like, we know he's going to get Rocky, but we don't know if it's successful or not. It's just there. Like, he's going to go after the friend. Then there's the ending of the probes landing on Earth and them getting the message, and it's Sandra Hüller, who's a lot older now, or I don't know how much time has elapsed. At least
She's
like
a
10
smoke
years
show
or
in this
something.
movie, by the way. Absolutely breathtaking. God damn.
Did you like the Sign of the Times karaoke sequence? That's been very controversial online.
Oh my god, dude, it was so hot.
I liked the moment too. I don't know if she's that great of a vocalist, but
No, she's not, but she was just attractive. It worked.
I didn't mind it in the context of the film. Like, who cares if she's not a great vocalist? It's a fucking movie, I'm not watching a concert.
It makes sense for her to not be a good vocalist.
I mean, she does say that she sang before, in her youth and whatever, but
I was a choir kid, dude. My dad tells me not to sing when we're in the car.
but I think that moment does really capture well, like, the bleakness of and how urgent this mission is, yet also at the same time still being lively, still providing this sense of whimsy that the film always has. So I really liked it too.
Yeah, honestly speaking, the two that are probably the more impactful ones are, I mean, for me, it's the actual ending. Like, the actual ending is my favorite, but the on Earth ending of her tearing up to it, I think that is a really, really good, important piece that you need to have in that movie because the connection between her and Grace needs to be real. It needs to be shown to the viewers that it is not just a transactional one. And it absolutely was. I mean, she says multiple times that he's not a nuisance, but also just like her genuine reaction to it clearly shows that she like genuinely believed in him and that she had a lot of attachment to him.
Even if it comes with, the sinister consequence of like, I'm the one who forced him onto that ship, and that's fucked up.
You can tell that she wasn't genuinely happy to do that.
Yeah. I think that moment could have been a little bit better handled. Because they do the comedic bit of him like, he's running away, go get him, I think
Yep.
like maybe her voice is trembling when she's delivering that line or something, or I don't know, just like cutting out that like comedic bit there.
I didn't find it comedic at all, to be honest. I found it
That's fair.
real. I thought that
I'm
is
with
how
Jacob
that
there.
would play
Okay.
out.
I'm with Jacob.
Yeah, that wasn't funny to me, dude. That was how I would react in that situation.
No, I don't mean in the office. I mean, as soon as he leaves the office and you see him in the window running away, it's kind of Looney Tunes-esque in that specific like second of film.
It didn't take me out of it personally.
But I love the line that Carl delivers to him, of course. You're going to be great, or whatever he says.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to be great.
Yeah. Anything else that we like really want to talk about this movie?
Dude, who is the voice actor for Rocky?
James Ortiz.
I have another complaint. I wish I had seen Arid. I wish we didn't just see them in it.
Well, we saw the
them.
planet.
When?
Right before they show him on Earth, on Earth, right? On the beach that they set up for him, that simulated area. It shows the planet, and it's a giant blue planet with rings around it and everything. I mean, you don't see the actual surface of the planet at all, but you do see the planet that they're on.
There's a lot of runtime with this movie, and so getting upset about some details being missing is a bit nitpicky, if you know what I mean. This is where Rufy says that he's a bit more of a harder critique. I think it's just that if he notices an issue, he's gonna count it against the movie in the rating, no matter what. But like some of that stuff, you gotta just like brush off because like it is a 5-star movie.
I mean, I don't mind his analysis of it though in that way. If there are a lot of nitpicks, then there are a lot of nitpicks, and a lot of nitpick, 1 or 2 nitpicks isn't a big deal for me, but if there are like 7 or 8 nitpicks and they all like create this larger issue, then I don't mind bumping it down half star or whatever it may be. That's his own criteria. And I think the core thing going into it is, of course, when there's a movie that's more contentious for us, it'll be a lot more fun to like argue with each other about it. But we all really loved this movie, and so the small things that we do talk about are minor details. Like, I had a big problem with the centrifuge thing. Like, that's one of the things that I pointed out. That's one issue that I had, but it's not a very big issue. But if there were 7 or 8 of those scenes, especially of the science scenes in a science fiction movie where I'm like, this is not plausible whatsoever, then that would be a problem, right?
That wasn't necessarily a criticism of Rufy. It was just a question that he brought up at the start.
The AT&T girl's also in the movie. She's one of the astronauts. So that was a fun little like, oh, look who it is. But all right. Any closing remarks about the movie?
Everyone needs to watch it. It's my 3rd best movie on the decade. I think it's better than Sinners. I get that that's not... Well, actually, it is the popular take on this show.
Yeah, I'm shockingly outvoted there.
Like
But yeah, so if you haven't seen it, absolutely need to go see it. I will say you need to see it in either your Dolby Atmosphere, your IMAX, whatever it is. You got to see it where you can feel the volume underneath you because it changes the movie and it makes the experience much, much better. Also, early contender for best lead actor.
Yeah, I think this is a career best for not a career best, but really a legacy movie for Ryan Gosling to be in one of these kinds of movies. Similar to
this is a prime LeBron moment.
Yeah, similar to like Matthew McConaughey in a career-defining film like Interstellar. Like, it feels like every big actor has their science fiction film that they lead, that they're the domineering force in. And this is, I mean, Ryan Gosling's kind of had 2, like you said, to your point with Blade Runner. So fantastic actor, fantastic film. Again, Lord and Miller, responsible for like the Lego Movie, the Jump Street movies, the Spider-Verse films. They didn't direct, but they wrote and produced. So like they have a really great track record. Greg Fraser, who was the cinematographer for the first 2 Dune movies. So not surprised that you enjoyed his shooting of the film whatsoever.
Yeah, he's dominating my bracket.
The score was great, I thought. Again, I'm a big fan of this maximalist style of filmmaking. One movie that does that really well as Everything Everywhere All at Once, which won Best Picture that year. That's gotten a lot of heat recently too, for no reason in my opinion. But yeah, just a really great time.
Now that you mentioned the score, Interstellar is better than Project Hail Mary.
That's
No, that was quick.
that
I
got
forgot
him.
about how good Interstellar's score was.
Nice, epic stuff. We've won him over, Vitor. We can all agree on something.
Yep. Yeah, we all agreed on that.
Sorry, you just made me think of that soundtrack.
Jacob, how about you outro us?
This is our first full movie review with all three of us in a long time, so I feel really good about how it went. It's an obviously amazing movie, so
I pulled my weight.
Yes. Woo! He pulled his
I
weight.
said I pulled my weight. Yeah, I said I pulled my
oh.
weight.
Hey, Broofy is a dental student. We are not criticizing his schedule.
Not yet a dental
But
student.
it is
Not yet.
appreciated that he took the time to go see such a legendary movie. But thank you everybody for listening to this episode of the Coast to Coast podcast and our episodic review of Project Hail Mary. Peace.
See you guys.
Goated.